Hello again, and welcome back to the 490 Marathon. Forgiveness is a process that unleashes love and acceptance into the heart of the one who forgives. We have 2 more steps to go, and today we're talking about the making of a love declaration. Here's the statement. I love you and I accept you for who you are. Mom, Dad, Olga, Frank, I love you and I accept you for who you are. This statement said out loud shifts everything. It reconnects us to the one we are forgiving on an earthly as well as heavenly plane. By making this declaration, we're choosing to follow the second most important commandment. Love your neighbor as yourself. But I have to be honest, some people really struggle with making this declaration. But I also want to let you know that it's perfectly normal. Sometimes it's important to struggle with this decision because we have to take apart the reason for the struggle. What are we really afraid of when we say, I love you and I accept you for who you are? Some of us think that love and acceptance means that we accept and love what the person did to us. But this is when we have to move ourselves to the perspective that God has. Does God love our disobedience, our many forms of fear, our evil acts? No. But He says, I get why you did what you did. I see it clearly even if you don't. I love you and I accept you as my child. I love you and I accept you simply means we acknowledge who the other person is, a spiritual brother or sister, a member of the human race who, just like us, has not quite learned how to love completely, who, just like us, is still learning to overcome their own fears. So, in all actuality, I'd prefer that you struggle with this declaration a little bit before you actually confirm it, rather than go ahead and say it, but then undo it immediately in your mind. In the same way that the forgiveness process hinges on our ability to have compassionate understanding or compassionate empathy for the other, it hinges on our ability and our capacity to say out loud, I love you and I accept you for who you are. We're not saying I love you and I accept you when you become perfect. There are no conditions to this. Instead, we're acknowledging our imperfection and making the decision to love each person for where they are on their spiritual journey. As we allow them to stay where they are, we are also giving ourselves permission to move on with our own spiritual journey and to ascend to the state of love. Psalms 100 is one of the most beautiful songs of praise written by King David. It's a psalm of thanksgiving, and it tells us we are God's creation. We are brothers and sisters. You're my sister, you're my brother, we are His people. There's no separation between us, just complete connection under a loving, faithful, merciful, and good Father. When we realize that our mother is our spiritual sister and our father is our spiritual brother, we give up the conditions we've been holding over them. We give up the desire to see the perfect thing right here, right now. We accept instead that we're all on a spiritual journey. And in fact, we accept that our steps are ordered and that we are all being called to rise above fear and to finally live our purpose. So, I am a cup and I pour fear out of my cup and I say out loud, Lord, fill me with your divine love. John 3 verse 16 comes alive and we feel it in our bones. God loved me so much, He sent Jesus to die for me. Me. How much do you have to love a person to do that? Never mind all humanity. And if you could make such a sacrifice, then why wouldn't I? So Mom, Dad, Charlie, Deb, Olga, Frank, I love you and I accept you for who you are. Where you are on your spiritual journey, the beautiful person you will become. This statement allows us to shed the lie that love is conditional. We shed the spiritual lies about our unworthiness and our lack of goodness, and instead we finally see ourselves authentically for who we are and who everyone else is. Children of a loving God who sees us as good enough to die for. Are we perfect? No, of course not. But we are good enough, and when God's Holy Spirit abides with us, godliness and goodness become a possibility. The Holy Spirit gives us the strength to continually think on things that are true and pure and honorable and respectable and whole. We think on things that bring peace. We seek to find the most excellent way. And we all know that if we ask, we will find the thing we seek. The declaration, I love you and I accept you for who you are, is an expression of love and acceptance and allowance for every human being on the planet. This expression allows us to move on, to live out our purpose. We'll talk about that the next time.